Corporations did not begin as global rulers. They emerged as simple commercial entities meant to solve practical needs. Yet over time, their efficiency, scale, and adaptability allowed them to outgrow the boundaries of traditional institutions. As governments grew slower, corporations grew faster, reshaping supply chains, labor systems, and cultural expectations. Their rise was not marked by armies or conquest, but by the gradual realization that society relied on them more each year. What once started as small workshops and trading houses evolved into powerful engines capable of influencing political priorities and economic futures. The foundation of their silent power was built on a single idea: control the essentials and the world will follow. Corporations expanded not because they demanded space, but because people demanded their services. With every technological shift, they filled new gaps, providing faster communication, broader distribution, and cheaper production. As their services became necessary for everyday life, their authority deepened without resistance. Individuals adopted corporate tools willingly, believing them to be markers of progress rather than instruments of dependence. Over time, corporations learned to design ecosystems rather than products, shaping not just what people bought, but how they lived, communicated, and interacted. Their growth did not provoke fear because it felt natural, even desirable, as if society had chosen this path of its own free will. Modern corporations discovered the power of invisibility. Through intricate ownership webs, subsidiaries, shell entities, and offshore funds, they learned to hide influence while expanding it. A single corporation might control dozens of brands operating under completely different identities, giving consumers the illusion of variety. This hidden structure protects them from accountability and shields them from public scrutiny. Decisions that affect millions often originate in boardrooms no one recognizes, guided by executives whose names rarely reach the news. The real empire is not the logo on the product, but the network behind it, an architecture of control deliberately designed to remain unseen while shaping entire markets. As the world shifted to digital systems, corporations recognized that information, not currency, would define the next era of power. They began collecting data with unmatched precision, browsing habits, movements, preferences, fears, and desires. With each piece of information, they built algorithms capable of predicting behaviors before individuals recognized them in themselves. This ability transformed corporations into unseen influencers, steering decisions through personalized suggestions and subtle cues. Unlike old empires that relied on force, modern corporate dominion operates through anticipation and persuasion. Data became the ultimate resource, renewable, limitless, and voluntarily surrendered by those who thought they were simply using convenient tools. Corporate influence in politics grew not through dramatic takeovers, but through quiet integration. Governments, strained by complexity and limited resources, increasingly relied on corporations for expertise, technology, and economic stability. In return, corporations shaped regulations, drafted policy frameworks, and funded research that aligned with their strategic goals. They positioned themselves as indispensable partners rather than outsiders seeking control. Over decades, this relationship blurred the line between public authority and private interest. Policies meant to protect citizens often ended up protecting markets instead. The true shift in governance occurred not when corporations seized power, but when governments unknowingly surrendered it. To corporations, markets function like territories that must be secured, defended, and expanded. Instead of generals, they deploy financial strategists. Instead of armies, they command capital. Through mergers, acquisitions, and monopolistic strategies, they consolidate sectors under a handful of dominant players. These corporate kingdoms can influence prices, dictate standards, and reshape economies across borders. Their reign does not depend on sovereignty, but on participation, Those who need their products, platforms, and services effectively live within their domain. In the modern world, power does not require land, it requires relevance, and corporations have mastered the art of making themselves impossible to live without. Technology granted corporations a kind of authority no empire had ever achieved. By controlling communication networks, cloud infrastructure, and digital platforms, they became the stewards of global interaction. Every conversation, transaction, and stored memory passes through systems they own. This position allows them to influence not only how people speak, but what they see, think, and believe. Algorithms determine which voices rise and which disappear. The throne of the modern era is not a physical seat, but a control panel, one capable of shaping collective consciousness with a few lines of code. In this technological dominion, convenience becomes the gateway to control. Corporations operate through global webs that transcend geography. Their decisions ripple across continents within seconds, influencing labor markets, resource flows, and cultural trends. Unlike nations constrained by borders, corporations navigate the world through partnerships, trade agreements, and digital platforms. This agility makes them powerful actors in global affairs, often more influential than the governments they collaborate with. Their network operates continuously, without elections, revolutions, or transitions, only strategy and execution. In this interconnected lattice, every node strengthens the whole, forming an empire without a homeland, united not by identity but by profit. Corporations have mastered the art of manufacturing culture. Through entertainment, advertising, and social media ecosystems, they shape desires, fears, and aspirations on a global scale. Trends no longer emerge naturally. They are engineered, tested, and distributed like products. What people wear, consume, or celebrate often originates from carefully crafted corporate narratives. Culture becomes a strategic asset, capable of shifting public opinion and guiding social behavior. By controlling the symbols and stories that define generations, corporations secure not just customers, but loyal participants in a lifestyle curated by profit-driven agendas. In this world, culture itself becomes a commodity. The corporate transformation of labor redefined the relationship between work and identity. Automation, remote platforms, and algorithmic management reshaped how people earn a living. While efficiency improved, the cost was a gradual erosion of autonomy. Workers adapted to systems that monitored performance, predicted output, and optimized behavior. Many jobs were fragmented into tasks controlled by digital oversight, turning human labor into a measurable resource. Corporations, in pursuit of productivity, built environments where individuals became data points in vast operational models. The modern worker no longer serves a single employer, but a corporate ecosystem that governs every aspect of the workday. In a world dominated by corporate ecosystems, consumer choice often becomes a carefully constructed illusion. People believe they are selecting among competing brands, but many of those brands belong to the same parent company. Platforms that seem independent share data, resources, and strategies behind closed doors. This illusion fosters trust, preventing consumers from realizing how narrow their options truly are. The choices offered are curated, constrained, and optimized for profit. The brilliance of corporate power lies in making individuals feel empowered while guiding them gently down predetermined paths. The trajectory of corporate influence suggests a future where traditional institutions may hold symbolic authority, while corporations manage the practical workings of society. Technology, logistics, finance, and communication already depend on them more than on national systems. The question is not whether corporations will shape the future, they already do, but how consciously humanity will respond. The hidden empire thrives when people remain unaware, accepting its presence as inevitable progress. Whether the future becomes cooperative or exploitative depends on recognition, understanding that the empire is not coming. It is already here, built quietly in the background of daily life.